My name is Darlene Beans, and I am 32 years old. I don't usually talk about my family, not because I'm private or quiet or above the drama. People assume I moved away for peace of mind, or that I simply outgrew the small town noise. But the real reason is darker than that. And last Christmas, everything that had been quietly rotting beneath the surface finally split open. It started the moment my 6-year-old daughter looked up at me, her tiny hands empty, while her cousins shredded wrapping paper around her like wild animals, and whispered, "Why don't Grandma and Grandpa love me?" I swear I felt something inside me crack. But to understand that moment, you have to understand the years that led up to it. My parents have adored my older brother Brian since the day he was born. He could do no wrong. Failed out of college? He's figuring himself out. Jobless for years? He's just waiting for the right opportunity. Meanwhile, I was the practical one, the reliable one, the one who covered their bills quietly and without a fuss. Their car insurance, grocery money, phone bills, electricity, when Dad's investments tanked and they suddenly didn't know what happened. I never asked for anything in return. Not praise, not repayment, just some sense of fairness. But Brian had a talent. He knew how to show up just enough, say the right things, pretend to be put together in front of them. They ate it up and went back for seconds. Last Christmas, I arrived at their house around noon with my daughter. I'd spent more than I should have. New coffee maker for Mom, a set of golf clubs Dad had been eyeing all year, a $200 spa card, and personalized photo albums of my daughter growing up. Thoughtful, heartfelt things. We placed everything under the tree, and I wandered toward the food table until something strange stopped me cold. There wasn't a single gift labeled for my daughter. Not one. I thought maybe they'd set them aside or forgot to write the tags, so I brushed it off. But then Brian and his wife came in, their kids running straight for the tree. The labels were perfectly arranged. To Jason, love Grandma and Grandpa. Allie, from your favorite grandparents. Then the avalanche hit. iPads, cash envelopes, a brand new game console, fancy headphones. My niece opened an envelope and screamed, $500, like she'd won a radio contest. My daughter, who had been bouncing with excitement on the car ride over, got nothing. My mom didn't even notice. She just said, "Oh, the girls are getting so big," and drifted away like it was any other Christmas. Dad offered my daughter a single candy cane from a plastic bowl. That was the grand gesture. My daughter tugged on my sleeve when the chaos died down and whispered her question, the one that shattered me. "Mommy, why don't Grandma and Grandpa love me?" I swallowed the burn in my throat and lied through my teeth, telling her Santa must have mixed things up, that maybe extra gifts were waiting at home. I gathered our coats, left every present I bought for them, untouched under the tree, and walked out. No goodbyes, no explanations, just silence. That night, while my daughter slept curled beside me on the couch, I stared at my laptop. The joint account I opened years ago to help my parents, because their bank kept bouncing payments, was still active, still draining me. So I closed it, transferred every last dollar into my savings, deleted every autopay setting, and scheduled the full shutdown. My hands were steady, my heart wasn't. Something was happening in me, something new, something I had ignored for far too long. I walked into my closet, pulled out the gifts I bought for my parents, and unwrapped each one. The golf clubs went back into the return box. The spa card came out of its pretty envelope. I found receipts tucked in the corners of my purse, ready to be scanned and refunded. They wanted to make it clear who mattered in this family. Fine. Message received. Outside, snow drifted past the window in slow, quiet sheets. I watched it fall, holding my daughter close, and I realized this wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The next morning, the gifts from my parents were still in the trunk, untouched. I felt sick knowing how much money I spent trying to make their Christmas special. Over $700 worth of effort they never deserved. I sold the spa card, returned the clubs and coffee maker. Every refunded dollar went into creating the Christmas my daughter deserved, a scooter she'd circled in catalogs for months, the big dollhouse she always stopped to stare at, and a complete art set with every pastel and brush imaginable. I wrapped them all myself and placed them beneath our modest little tree. The next morning, when she woke up and saw everything, she squealed so loud the cat hid behind the couch. For a few precious hours, we laughed, danced, and pretended the world wasn't cruel. I didn't call my parents, didn't text, nothing. I waited. 2 days later, Mom called. No soft greeting, no checking in. just a sharp, irritated voice. Why didn't my phone bill go through? I stared at the wall, amazed. Not, where did you go? Not, is my granddaughter okay? Just concern for her phone plan. I told her calmly the joint account had been closed. She paused, then snapped, You should have told us. That account was for the family. There it was, that word again. Family. So I asked her, what about my daughter? Is she not family? Because she got nothing, not even a card. Mom didn't apologize, didn't explain. Instead, she sighed and said, Brian contributes more to the family anyway. I blinked, stunned. What exactly did he contribute? I asked, because I haven't seen him pay for anything. Mom answered without shame. He brought us a wine basket last month, and he helped your father hang new lights in the garage. A $40 gift basket and a screwdriver. Meanwhile, I had paid for their medications, repairs, groceries, and emergency bills for years. She didn't remember, or didn't want to. So I ended the call, quietly, completely. And that night, as I tucked my daughter into bed, something settled inside me. A calm, icy clarity. I was done being the daughter who carried everyone. Done being invisible. Done pretending this was love. The morning after Christmas felt strangely quiet. Not peaceful, more like the air just before a storm cracks open the sky. I walked into the kitchen, staring at the pile of gifts I'd bought for my parents, still wrapped in shiny paper. I couldn't even bring myself to bring them inside the night before. They sat in the trunk like a reminder of how blind I'd been. But now, I wasn't blind anymore. I returned the coffee maker first. The spa gift card sold online in less than an hour. The golf clubs had to go back to the store, so I loaded them into the car and drove there while my daughter was at her friend's house. The whole time I kept thinking about her face that morning, how she clung to me in silence on the drive home. Every dollar refunded became another piece of her Christmas. A new scooter. The dollhouse she'd pointed to in catalogs for months. A full art kit, pastels, brushes, watercolor pads, the works. I wrapped them myself and placed them under our little tree. The next morning, she screamed, spun in circles, and hugged me so tight I lost my breath. And for those few hours, everything felt okay. I didn't call my parents. I didn't text. I waited. It took 2 days. When my phone rang and I saw my mother's name, my stomach tightened. Not with fear, but with something colder. She didn't start with hello, or where have you been, or is my granddaughter okay? No. She began with, why didn't my phone bill go through? I stood with my hand on the chair, stunned by the selfishness packed into those 8 words. I closed the joint account, I said. I moved the money and turned off autopay. She paused, then her voice sharpened. You should have told us. That account was for the family. Family. The word tasted like something sour. What about my daughter? I asked quietly. Is she not family? Because she didn't get a single gift, not even socks. Mom sighed dramatically, like I was inconveniencing her. You're blowing things out of proportion. Brian contributes more than you think. I laughed, actually laughed. What has he contributed exactly? He brought us a wine basket last month and helped your father hang the new lights in the garage. A $40 basket and a screwdriver. Meanwhile, I'd paid their bills, medications, emergency repairs, things that actually mattered. Yet she either forgot or pretended to. So I told her, with a calmness that felt alarming even to me, we're done. Then I hung up. That night, I sat at my laptop and went through every record, every bill I'd paid for them, every deposit, every grocery order, every refill, thousands of dollars over the years. Quiet help they never acknowledged. I realized I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even hurt. I was done. Truly done. So I logged into anything I still paid for on their behalf. Internet? Canceled. Cable? Gone. Grocery delivery? Deleted. Pharmacy auto refills? Disabled. Streaming services? Removed. Their doctor's emergency contact forms? Updated. Amazon Prime? Removed from my card. All of it. Everything they depended on. Everything they took for granted. Every little thread tying me to them. I cut. A few hours later, Dad texted. You're being dramatic. We've always loved you. Stop acting ungrateful. I blocked his number. The next day, my brother Brian texted. There was no apology. Of course not. Just, Mom's upset. You need to fix this before New Year's. Fix this. I almost laughed again. That evening, while tucking my daughter into bed, she asked softly, Is Grandma mad at me? That did something to me. Something deep. No, sweetheart, I said, brushing her hair back. Sometimes grown-ups forget how to treat people. When they act unfairly, it says more about them than about you. She nodded and hugged her stuffed cat. That was the moment I realized I wasn't sad. I wasn't wounded. I was clear. Crystal clear. December 28th arrived. Silence from them, but not the peaceful kind. The kind that meant they were scrambling. At noon, I got a text. Mom, Darlene, the grocery order didn't come. Did you forget to renew something? I ignored it. Hours later, your dad says the internet is out. Something about the bill. Can you fix it? I stared at my phone, feeling nothing. Then came unknown numbers. Blocked numbers. Even one from a pizza place. They were attempting to sneak past my call screening. I didn't answer a single one. The next morning, Brian called. I almost didn't pick up, but curiosity won. He sighed like I was the burden. Mom's worried sick. You're overreacting. You need to stop making this harder. He spoke in that calm, superior tone he used whenever he thought he was the reasonable one. I'm not overreacting, I said. They humiliated my daughter on Christmas. You're being dramatic, Darlene. Mom didn't mean it like that. Brian's kids are older. It's easier to buy for them. Ah, there it was. The classic excuse. So my 6-year-old doesn't deserve a present because she's too young to spend money on? He went silent for a moment. Then, yeah, but it's not like it was on purpose. I hung up. An hour later, he texted. Mom's crying. Dad says you're punishing them. Maybe apologize so everyone can move on. Apologize. I stared at the word, letting it sink in like cold water. Then I opened my laptop again. Line after line after line of bills, transfers, grocery deliveries, prescriptions. Years of proof that I had been the backbone of the family while Brian played golden boy. By evening, it escalated, predictably. Mom posted one of those dramatic, vague Facebook guilt traps. It's always the ones you do the most for who hurt you the most. Family isn't what it used to be. This Christmas broke my heart. The comments rolled in. Oh no, what happened, sweetie? You're such a good mom. Your daughter is lucky to have you. Sometimes kids forget who raised them. I read it all, my heart thudding, not with anger, but with a surreal feeling of inevitability. This was who they were. This was who they had always been. But then, my friend Jenny commented, maybe tell the full story before pretending you're the victim. Within 20 minutes, the entire post vanished. That night, Mom sent me a long email, passive-aggressive, guilt-ridden, and carefully worded to make her the martyr. She ended with, Brian doesn't keep score like you do. I realized something then, something sharp and unforgiving. They didn't want fairness. They wanted control. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened every remaining account they might be connected to and cut the final strings. The next morning, Dad texted from a different number. You're making a fool of yourself. Don't let pride ruin our family. Delete. Block. Silence. That evening, I took my daughter ice skating. We sat afterward with hot chocolate, watching the lights shimmer across the ice. She leaned into me and whispered, Can we stay home for New Year's too? Yes, I said softly. Because for the first time, I realized home wasn't my parents' house anymore. Home was wherever my daughter and I felt peace. And peace was finally starting to grow. By December 30th, the silence from my parents wasn't an apology. It wasn't reflection. It was panic disguised as restraint. The kind of silence people keep when they know something is slipping out of their hands, but they don't know how to grab it back. That morning, my email pinged. Dad, subject, please don't be rash. We can restart your phone payments if you come to New Year's Eve dinner. We saved you and your daughter seats. We have something special planned. A bribe wrapped in a threat, not an apology, not even close. I reread the line something special planned and felt my skin prickle. With my parents, I knew special never meant kind. It meant staged. It meant they needed a prop or a scapegoat, or both. My friend Jenny told me to stay home, but I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling pulsing at the back of my mind. My parents were scrambling, not reconciling. That's when I made a decision. I called Brian's wife. She hesitated when she picked up, clearly surprised I'd reached out. But she didn't sound hostile. If anything, she sounded tired, like someone who had seen enough family drama to last a lifetime. I asked her simply, "What's going on for New Year's?" And she told me the truth. My parents had bought matching outfits for Brian's kids for a family photo. They hadn't bought one for my daughter. Instead, they printed a photo of her to hold up for show. Like she was a missing puzzle piece they could paste in for the perfect image. I felt sick, not angry, just sick. That was all I needed to know. I hung up and sent a message to the extended family group chat. Calm, measured, impossible to twist. Due to repeated exclusion and disrespect, my daughter and I will not be attending the New Year's Eve dinner. We wish everyone well. No drama, no accusations, just truth. Then I posted a photo of my daughter and me at the ice rink. The caption was simple. This year we learned family isn't about gifts. It's about who shows up when it matters. It wasn't aimed at anyone, but guilt has a way of recognizing itself. On New Year's Eve, I woke up to over a dozen missed calls. Mom, everyone is expecting you. You're part of this family whether you act like it or not. Dad, don't make a scene. Then, a voicemail from my cousin Lisa. Darlene, they're planning to talk about you at dinner. They printed that Facebook photo of you and Emma. You should know. They weren't inviting me. They were preparing to humiliate me. It was the final confirmation. Instead of letting them use my daughter as a prop, instead of sitting in a room full of people waiting to dissect me like I was some family failure to be put on display, I stayed home. And for the first time ever, New Year's Eve wasn't a battlefield. It was peaceful. My daughter and I baked cinnamon rolls, painted our nails, and watched movies wrapped in blankets. No tension, no guilt, no forced smiles. Just us. Just love. Around 8 p.m., Jenny texted from the dinner. Jenny, your parents are unraveling. They brought printed emails. They're calling you unstable, saying you overreacted and destroyed Christmas. I stared at the message and something inside me finally went quiet. Not broken, not hurt, just done. Done in the most liberating, thunderous way. I stepped outside onto the porch, phone in hand, and dialed my mother one last time. She answered immediately. Finally. Do you know the embarrassment you've caused? Do you know? I know everything, I said. My voice didn't even shake. I know about the printed photo. I know about the planned humiliation. I know the lies. I know the performance. And I'm done. Her voice sharpened like a blade. You'll regret this. You'll end up alone. I looked over at my daughter inside the house, curled on the couch with crayons scattered everywhere, humming to herself. Alone? I had never been less alone. I won't, I said. And I don't consider you family anymore. Mom gasped like I'd struck her. I didn't wait for her next line. I hung up. At midnight, Jenny and I lit sparklers on my porch. My daughter squealed as the sparks danced through the air. And while the neighborhood celebrated, I realized something profound. I hadn't lost anything. I had simply let go of something heavy. The new year arrived quietly. No apologies. No fake reconciliation attempts. Just peace. Which told me everything I needed to know. They hadn't wanted to fix anything. They'd only wanted the performance back. A week later, the rumors started. My parents told everyone I had screamed at them, that I'd banned them from seeing my daughter, that I was unstable, emotional, irrational. For the first time in my life, I didn't defend myself. Their approval didn't matter anymore. Their version of the story didn't matter. Their disappointment didn't matter. I took my daughter to parks and museums. We spent weekends in pajamas eating pancakes. She drew a picture of our family, just the two of us and our cat. I taped it to the fridge. Weeks passed. Not silence, freedom. Then, months later, an envelope came in the mail. A birthday invitation from Brian's daughter. My own daughter held it for a moment, then looked up at me. Mom, we don't have to go if you don't want to. Her voice was steady, sure, like she had seen everything, like she understood. I smiled, pulled her into my arms, and kissed the top of her head. No, sweetheart, I said, we don't. Because some doors don't need to be slammed, just closed quietly. And forever.